Have you ever done more and more spiritual practices, yet your heart felt tighter instead of freer? Have you ever increased your chanting, your reading, your rituals, your listening, yet you became more impatient and easy to explode over small things? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about a trap that looks like diligence but quietly turns into self-deception. The trap is what I call spiritual homework. The endless list of things to do that makes you feel like you are progressing while your mind stays the same. You can bow more. You can chant more. You can attend more teachings. You can collect more methods. Yet when life presses the same buttons, you still react with the same anger, the same fear, the same craving, the same pride. And then you feel confused. You feel guilty. You feel like you are failing. Or you feel like the path is not working. I want to offer two main ideas that will guide everything we explore today. First, real practice is not measured by how many things you complete. Real practice is measured by how much you are transformed. If your speech becomes gentler, if your mind becomes steadier, if your heart becomes more compassionate, if your reactions become less poisonous, then you are practicing even if your routine looks simple. Second, what changes destiny is not outer form. What changes destiny is the inner direction of intention. When intention turns, karma turns. When karma turns, life turns. This is the core of cultivation. It is not glamorous. It is not performative. It is profoundly real. Let me tell you a story. Not a story about a perfect practitioner. A story about someone who did everything right on the outside and still felt like they were getting worse inside. If this story feels familiar, I want you to listen with kindness toward yourself. Because shame does not produce awakening. Honest seeing produces awakening. I will call her Maya. Maya was the kind of person who looked disciplined. She woke up early. She had a routine. She could recite long passages. She kept a calendar full of spiritual activities. She listened to teachings while cooking. She played chants while commuting. She kept a notebook of quotes about wisdom and compassion. If you saw her from the outside, you would think she was deeply devoted. But Maya had a secret. She was getting tighter. Not tighter in schedule. Tighter in the chest. Tighter in the jaw. Tighter in the way she spoke to people. The more she practiced, the more she judged. The more she listened, the more she corrected others. The more she bowed, the more she silently demanded that life reward her. And when life did not reward her the way she expected, she felt offended. One day her younger brother visited. He was going through a stressful season. He was messy. He complained a lot. He asked for help, but he also resisted advice. He was exactly the kind of person who can trigger your impatience if you are not stable inside. Maya made tea for him. She tried to be calm. She tried to be the wise one. But as he talked, she felt her mind judging him. She thought, why do you not just practice more? Why do you not meditate? Why are you wasting your time? Why are you still like this? Her brother noticed her face. He paused mid-sentence and said, you do not look peaceful. You look like you are trying to be peaceful. That sentence hit Maya like cold water. She felt embarrassed. Then she felt angry. Then she felt even more embarrassed that she felt angry. She forced a smile and said, I am fine. But inside she was not fine. Inside she was a storm wrapped in spiritual language. That night she sat on her cushion and tried to meditate. Her mind would not settle. It replayed her brother's comment again and again. It argued back. It built a defense. It built a case. She felt the need to prove that she was progressing. She felt the need to protect an image. The image of someone who practices. This is one of the most common and most hidden forms of suffering in spiritual life. The ego dresses in robes. The ego learns holy vocabulary. The ego becomes a manager of practice. And then the ego uses practice as a shield. Not to awaken. To avoid feeling vulnerable. Maya did not call it ego. She called it discipline. She called it devotion. She called it doing her best. But her body told the truth. Her shoulders were tight. Her breath was shallow. Her sleep was light. Her patience was thin. Her kindness was performative. and life kept showing her that something was off. The next morning, she went to a local center to attend a talk. The teacher was older and spoke simply. No dramatic promises. No mystical performance. Just calm clarity. After the talk, Maya approached and said, "I do so much practice, but I feel like my mind is becoming worse. I feel more impatient. I feel more angry. I feel more stressed. Why is this happening?" The teacher did not scold her. The teacher asked one question. "When you practice, what are you trying to get?" Maya answered quickly. "Peace. Protection. Better karma. A better life." The teacher nodded. Then asked another question. "When you practice, what are you willing to give up?" Maya went quiet. Because she realized she was trying to gain Ahmad, but she was not willing to give up her pride. She was not willing to give up her need to be right. She was not willing to give up her habit of blaming others. She was not willing to give up her addiction to control. The teacher said something that Maya would remember for a long time. If practice becomes another way to feed craving, it will make you kinder. If practice becomes a way to train letting go, it will make you softer. The same outward action can strengthen bondage or cultivate freedom. It depends on intention. Maya felt a wave of resistance. She wanted the teacher to give her a new method. A stronger method. A faster method. Something that would finally fix her. But the teacher continued gently. Many people mistake spiritual homework for spiritual cultivation. Homework is about completing tasks. Cultivation is about transforming the mind. Homework can be done by a tense mind. Cultivation cannot. Cultivation requires sincerity, and it requires inner honesty. Sincerity means your practice continues when your ego is uncomfortable. Maya asked, "What do you mean by sincerity?" The teacher said, "Sincerity is when your chanting makes you kinder, not louder. Sincerity is when your meditation makes you humbler, not superior. Sincerity is when your bowing makes you more grateful, not more entitled. Sincerity is when you stop using practice to judge others and start using practice to observe your own mind." That last sentence landed hard. Observe your own mind. Maya realized she had been practicing while avoiding observation. She was using spiritual activity as a way to feel productive. But productivity is not awakening. The teacher offered Maya a different measure of practice. A measure that does not depend on how long you sit or how many words you recite. He said, when you leave the cushion and someone irritates you, what happens? When someone disagrees with you, what happens? When things do not go your way, what happens? When you feel lonely, what do you reach for? When you feel fear, what story does your mind produce? This is the real temple. This is the real training ground. This is where karma is made. Maya felt exposed, but she also felt relieved, because now there was a path that made sense. A path that did not require her to perform holiness. A path that required her to become honest. The teacher told her to do something that sounded almost too simple. For the next week, do less. Not as laziness, as courage. Reduce your spiritual homework by half. Keep one practice that you can do with full presence. Then use the extra time to watch your mind in daily life. Watch how you speak. Watch how you react. Watch the moment craving rises. Watch the moment anger rises. Watch the moment you want to control. Watch the moment you want to be admired. Do not punish yourself. Just see. Seeing is already wisdom. Maya was afraid. Doing less felt like losing progress. It felt like stepping backward. But she followed the instruction because she was tired of feeling fake inside her own life. She kept one practice. A simple recitation in the morning. Not rushed. Not multitasked. Just slow, steady sound with attention. Then she went into her day with a vow. Not a vow to look spiritual. A vow to notice. The first day was brutal. She noticed how often she judged. She judged drivers. She judged co-workers. She judged strangers. She judged herself. Her mind was like a courtroom. Always accusing. Always evaluating. Always announcing guilty. She also noticed how often she used spiritual language to justify her judgment. She would think, I am just discerning. I am just being honest. I am just holding standards. But when she watched carefully, she saw the truth. It was not discernment. It was irritation. It was pride. It was fear. It was the need to feel above. Seeing this hurt, because it shattered the story she had about herself. The story of being a devoted practitioner. But this pain was different from ordinary pain. It was the pain of awakening. The pain of seeing the gap between image and reality. That evening, her brother called. He was still stressed. He still complained. Maya felt the familiar impatience rise. Her mouth prepared a lecture. Practice more. Be disciplined. Stop wasting time. Then she remembered the vow. Notice. She noticed the heat in her chest. She noticed the tightness in her throat. She noticed the story that said, I need to fix him so I can feel in control. She paused. She breathed. And something new appeared. Compassion. Not pity. Not superiority. Compassion as understanding. Her brother was suffering. He was clumsy in his suffering. But suffering is suffering. Maya said something different. She said, I hear you. I am here. Tell me what feels hardest right now. Her brother went quiet. Then his voice softened. He started talking in a more honest way. Not just complaining. Revealing fear. After the call, Maya sat on her bed and felt a strange warmth. It was not the warm rush of winning an argument. It was the quiet warmth of not harming. She realized that one conversation contained more real practice than a week of rushed homework. This is the heart of what we need to understand. The point of practice is not to collect spiritual points. The point is to reduce harm and increase clarity. Reduce harm in speech. Reduce harm in intention. Reduce harm in thought patterns that poison you and poison others. Increase clarity so you can see what is happening inside you before it turns into action. This is how karma changes. Karma is not just what happens to you. Karma is what you repeatedly create. If your mind repeatedly creates anger, you will live in an angry world. Even if the world is the same, your experience of the world becomes sharp and hostile. If your mind repeatedly creates craving, you will live in a world of lack. Even if you have plenty, craving makes you feel poor inside. If your mind repeatedly creates compassion, you will live in a world that feels more human. You will see goodness more easily. You will create safety in relationships. You will become someone people trust. That trust becomes a condition for a better life. Maya kept practicing in this new way, not by stacking methods, by deepening sincerity. But the ego does not surrender easily. It finds new disguises. 1 week later, Maya attended another event. People sat in a circle sharing experiences. One person said they struggled with anger. Another said they struggled with jealousy. Another said they struggled with addiction. Maya listened and felt a subtle temptation. The temptation to feel superior. She thought, I do so much practice. I should be beyond this. Then she remembered what she had been seeing all week. She was still judging, still reacting, still clinging to image. In that moment, she felt humility, not humiliation. Humility is truth. She realized everyone is practicing with their own knots. Everyone is learning. Everyone is under impermanence. Everyone is shaped by causes and condition. When it was her turn to speak, Maya did something brave. She spoke honestly. She said, I realized I was using practice like homework. I was completing tasks, but I was not changing. I was becoming tighter and more judgmental. I am learning that real practice is when I meet my own mind with honesty. As she spoke, she felt a release. The pressure to look perfect loosened. The need to perform softened. She felt more real. And when she felt more real, she felt more calm. This is a paradox. The more you chase the image of peace, the more tense you become. The more you release the image and just practice sincerity, the more peace appears naturally. The teacher later told her something that deepened this insight. He said, when you make practice into homework, you are still negotiating with life. You are still saying, I will do this and then I deserve that. But the Dharma is not a contract. It is a path of awakening. The fruit of practice is not only external reward. The fruit is inner freedom. Maya asked, what is inner freedom? The teacher said inner freedom is when craving does not drag you. Inner freedom is when anger does not hijack you. Inner freedom is when fear does not rule your speech. Inner freedom is when you can face impermanence without collapsing into blame. Inner freedom is when compassion becomes your natural direction. Maya nodded. She could feel how far she was from that, but she could also feel the path was real. Now let us talk about the one thing, the essential meaning of practice. The teacher summarized it in a way that Maya could not forget. He said, true practice is the softening and transforming of the heart. That is the core. Everything else is a tool. Chanting is a tool. If it makes your heart softer, it is working. If it makes your ego louder, it is not. Meditation is a tool. If it makes you more aware and less reactive, it is working. If it becomes a way to escape responsibility, it is not. Ritual is a tool. If it cultivates gratitude and humility, it is working. If it becomes a way to demand rewards, it is not. Learning is a tool. If it clarifies wisdom and supports compassion, it is working. If it becomes a way to win arguments, it is not. Maya began to apply this tool test to everything. She stopped asking, how much did I do? She started asking, what did it change in me? At first, this made her uncomfortable, because it removed her favorite hiding place, the hiding place of business. And many people do not realize that spiritual business can be an addiction. It gives you a sense of control. It gives you the comfort of being a good person. It gives you a schedule that protects you from looking at pain. But awakening asks you to look, not to drown, to see. And seeing begins with the smallest moments. The moment you want to speak sharply, can you hold back and choose gentleness? The moment you want to blame, can you look at your own contribution? The moment you want to gossip, can you stop and protect your mind from poison? The moment you want to show off, can you return to humility? The moment you feel anxious, can you come back to the breath instead of grabbing distraction? This is how real practice enters life. It is not a ceremony. It is a moment-by-moment purification. Purification is another word people misunderstand. It does not mean becoming sterile or perfect. It means reducing the causes of suffering. It means cleaning the mind of habits that produce pain. Maya started noticing how her anger was connected to a deeper pattern, the pattern of self-importance. When someone did not agree with her, she felt disrespected. When someone did not respond quickly, she felt ignored. When someone did not appreciate her effort, she felt used. Under all of that was a belief that she should be treated a certain way. This belief is common. It is human, but it is also a source of suffering. The teacher told her this belief is like a hidden king inside your mind. The king demands obedience. The king demands praise. The king demands control. And when the world does not obey the king becomes furious. Real practice is dethroning the king, not by violence, by wisdom. Wisdom begins with seeing impermanence. Everything changes. People change. Moods change. Conditions change. Expectations break. Plans shift. Bodies age. Nothing can be held permanently. When you truly accept impermanence, your grip loosens. Maya began reining and letting go. Letting go did not mean she stopped caring. It meant she stopped squeezing life until it hurt. She practiced letting go in small ways. When someone cut in line, she noticed the anger. She let it pass. When someone criticized her work, she noticed the urge to defend. She asked if any part of it was useful. When she wanted to buy something to soothe stress, she waited. She breathed. She asked what she truly needed. Each time she did this, she felt something else grow. Equanimity. Knowledge. A mind that can stay steady. This is a deep spiritual hot word for a reason. Equanimity is not coldness. It is stability. It is the ability to stay open without being dragged. As equanimity grew, compassion grew too. Because when you are not consumed by your own story, you can finally see other people. Maya started noticing the pain behind rude behavior, the fear behind arrogance, the loneliness behind attention seeking, the exhaustion behind impatience. She did not excuse harm. She still kept boundaries. But her heart stopped turning hard. This is what the teacher meant by transforming the heart. And this transformation began to change Maya's external life in surprising ways. Her relationships improved. Not because everyone around her became perfect, because she stopped escalating conflict. Her work improved. Not because she became a genius overnight, because she became less defensive and more clear. Her body felt lighter. Not because she never felt stress, because she stopped feeding stress with constant inner fighting. This is karma. Cause and effect. Not superstition. Not fantasy. A real chain you can observe. Now I want to step out of Maya's story for a moment and talk to you directly. Because you might be thinking this sounds true, but how do I know if I am trapped in spiritual homework? Here is a mirror. Not a checklist. A mirror. If your practice makes you more impatient, more proud, more harsh, more rigid, more anxious, more judgmental, then something is off. It may not be the practice itself. It may be the intention behind it. It may be that you are using practice to control life instead of using practice to train the mind. If your practice makes you more present, more compassionate, more humble, more patient, more grateful, more clear, then it is working even if your life still has problems. The point is not to remove every problem. The point is to stop adding poison. Many people do not realize how much poison they add. They add poison through harsh speech. They add poison through resentment. They add poison through gossip. They add poison through constant comparison. They add poison through self-hatred. They add poison through greed. Then they wonder why life tastes bitter. Practice is learning to stop adding poison. That is the one thing. Now let us return to Maya, because she is about to face a moment that tests whether this transformation is real. A few months later, Maya had a conflict at work. A colleague took credit for something Maya contributed to. It was not a misunderstanding. It was clearly unfair. Maya felt anger rise like fire. Her mind formed a plan. She would expose them. She would embarrass them. She would make sure everyone knew the truth. This is the moment where spiritual homework does nothing. If practice stays in the ritual box, you will react like you always do. But Maya had been training in daily life. She knew this moment was a temple. She went to the restroom. She stood quietly and breathed. She felt the heat in her body. She did not pretend it was not there. She did not spiritualize it away. She simply observed. She noticed the story. How dare they? I am being disrespected. I cannot allow this. Then she noticed something deeper. Under the anger was fear. Fear of being seen as insignificant. Fear of being overlooked. Fear of losing value. She placed a hand on her chest and breathed again. She remembered the teacher saying practice is softening the heart. Softening did not mean letting the colleague harm her without response. Softening meant responding without hatred. She returned to the meeting. She spoke calmly. She clarified her contribution with facts. She did not attack. She did not shame. She did not poison the room. People listened. The colleague looked uncomfortable. The manager acknowledged Maya. Afterward, the colleague approached her and apologized awkwardly. Not perfectly, but enough. If Maya had attacked the colleague, might have become an enemy for years. The workplace might have turned into a battlefield. Maya might have carried bitterness home every day. Her sleep might have suffered. Her health might have declined. That is karma. Instead, she created a different cause. She protected herself with clarity. She protected her mind from hatred. She kept her dignity. She also kept the possibility of reconciliation. Later that night, Maya sat quietly and recited her simple practice. She felt grateful, not because she won, because she did not become poison. This is where real joy comes from. It comes from inner integrity. When your actions align with wisdom, your heart feels clean. Many people chase happiness by chasing pleasure. But pleasure is short. It depends on conditions. Integrity-based joy is steadier. It comes from knowing you did not betray your own conscience. This is why the Buddhist path emphasizes ethics and right speech and right intention. Not as rules to control you, as a protection for your mind. Now I want to address a painful misunderstanding that keeps many people stuck. The idea that if you practice enough, you should never feel negative emotions. That idea is a trap. Awakening does not mean you never feel anger or fear or sadness. Awakening means you see them clearly, and you do not let them command you. Emotions are weather. Wisdom is the sky. If you build your identity on weather, you will always be unstable. If you cultivate the sky like mind, you can hold weather without collapsing. This is why meditation is powerful when done correctly. Not as homework, as training in awareness. Awareness is another spiritual hot word for a reason. It is the gate to freedom. Without awareness, you react automatically. You speak automatically. You harm automatically. You regret automatically. With awareness, you gain a gap, a space. In that space, you can choose compassion. In that space, you can choose patience. In that space, you can choose silence. In that space, you can choose a wiser action. That space changes your life. Maya started caring more about that space than about completing tasks. She started valuing quality over quantity. She also learned something about repentance. Many traditions talk about repentance, but many people turn it into self-hatred. The teacher told Maya repentance is not beating yourself. Repentance is honest seeing and sincere turning. You see the harm you created. You feel regret without drowning. You make amends where possible. You vow to change the cause. Then you practice again. This is how karma is purified, not erased, redirected. Maya began practicing repentance in daily ways. When she spoke sharply, she apologized quickly. Not to look good, to clean the mind. When she judged others, she noticed it and returned to humility. When she wasted time in resentment, she returned to the breath. Each return strengthened a new habit, the habit of coming back. This is a deep principle in cultivation. You do not become awakened by one heroic moment. You become awakened by 1,000 returns. Now you might be thinking this sounds like work. Yes, it is work, but it is the kind of work that frees you rather than binds you. Spiritual homework binds you because it keeps you busy without changing you. Real cultivation frees you because it changes the roots. The roots are intention. The roots are craving. The roots are aversion. The roots are ignorance. When roots change, the whole tree changes. Maya eventually went back to the teacher and said, "I think I understand what you meant. I used to treat the path like tasks. Now it feels like a way of living." The teacher smiled and said, "Good. Now you are practicing." Maya asked, "How do I keep from falling back into homework?" The teacher said, "Remember the one thing. Let practice transform your heart. If you do anything, and it does not make you kinder or more clear, then pause and examine the intention. Do less, but do it sincerely. Let every practice be a mirror, not a medal." That sentence stayed with Maya. Mirror, not medal. Because medals feed ego. Mirrors reveal truth. Now I want to share something personal because many viewers tell me they feel the same confusion Maya felt. They say, "I practice every day, but I feel like I am still angry. I still get triggered. I still feel anxious. What is wrong with me?" Often nothing is wrong with you. You are simply seeing your mind more clearly. That is progress. But sometimes the issue is that practice is happening on the surface only. The mind is still feeding old habits all day. Then a small ritual is expected to cancel a whole day of poison. It does not work like that. If you drink salt water all day, 1 cup of fresh water at night will not fully fix your thirst. But if you slowly change what you drink, your whole body changes. This is why daily life matters. The path is not separate from your relationships. The path is not separate from your speech. The path is not separate from how you handle desire. The path is not separate from how you respond to disrespect. The path is not separate from how you treat people who cannot benefit you. The path is not separate from how you treat yourself when you fail. Now let me bring this to the deepest level. The reason spiritual homework is so tempting is because it lets you avoid the most frightening thing: inner honesty. Inner honesty means you admit that you crave control. Inner honesty means you admit that you enjoy being superior. Inner honesty means you admit that you are attached to praise. Inner honesty means you admit that you fear being ordinary. Inner honesty means you admit that you are to be seen as good. When you admit these things, you can work with them. If you do not admit them, they control you from the shadows. Awakening is bringing light to the shadows. This is why wisdom is called light. Light does not fight darkness. Light reveals. When you reveal your patterns, you can loosen them. Loosening is liberation. Maya learned to loosen gradually. She learned to smile at her own ego instead of hating it. She learned to guide herself back instead of punishing herself. This is compassion too. Compassion toward your own mind. Because a harsh inner voice does not create awakening. A patient inner teacher creates awakening. Now we come toward the closing reflection. The essential meaning of practice is one thing: transform the heart. If you want a simple way to remember it, remember this image. Practice is not building a shrine outside while leaving a battlefield inside. Practice is turning the battlefield into a garden. A garden grows slowly. A garden needs daily care. A garden needs patience. A garden needs protection from weeds. Weeds are greed, anger, and ignorance. Care is midvolsense, compassion, and wisdom. When you care for the garden, your life changes. Not because the world becomes perfect, because you stop burning your own home. Now let me offer a final story that might create resonance. I once knew someone who was very devoted outwardly. They had many practices. They traveled to teaching. They could speak eloquently about emptiness and karma. But they were harsh at home. Their family walked on eggshells. Their partner felt unloved. Their child felt afraid. One day the child said something simple: "I do not care how many prayers you say. I just want you to be kind." That sentence is the whole path. If you chant but you are not kind, you are missing the heart. If you meditate but you are not humble, you are missing the heart. If you study but you still enjoy hurting others with words, you are missing the heart. The heart is the one thing. When you touch that one thing, everything becomes practice. Washing dishes becomes practice because you can do it with presence. Driving becomes practice because you can notice impatience and let it go. Work becomes practice because you can speak honestly without cruelty. Family becomes practice because you can listen with compassion. Even conflict becomes practice because you can protect your mind from hatred. That is a life of cultivation. Now I want to close with my own reflection for you. If you have been doing a lot and feeling worse, do not despair. That pain can be a signal that your soul is tired of performance, a signal that your heart wants sincerity, a signal that it is time to return to the one thing. Do less, but do it with your whole heart. Practice one breath before you speak. Practice one moment of patience when you want to explode. Practice one act of generosity without needing credit. Practice one honest apology. Practice 1 minute of presence without the phone. These small causes change big outcomes because they change the direction of your mind. And the direction of your mind is the hidden engine of destiny. Thank you for staying with me through this long talk. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt trapped in spiritual homework? Have you ever done more yet felt tighter? What helped you return to sincerity? Share your story in the comments so others can learn they are not alone. If you want more long-form teachings that connect daily life with awakening, wisdom, karma, and compassion, subscribe to the channel. Like this video so it reaches people who are quietly suffering behind a busy routine. And if you want to support this work more deeply, you can join the membership and help keep these teachings going.
There are moments when you see something and your heart simply whispers, "This one is meant for me." Bracelet carries more than beads. It carries intention, protection, and quiet strength. Something to guide your thoughts and keep your spirit steady. If you felt that gentle pull toward any of the bracelets shown, the purchase link is waiting in the description. and the full collection is displayed on our channel store. Follow your intuition. It rarely leads you wrong.